Factor this trinomial using the AC method. Well, if we want to factor a polynomial, the first thing we need to do is determine our factoring strategy. So first, we want to see if we can factor out a greatest common factor. Can we? No, we can't. None of our terms have common factors, so we can't factor out a greatest common factor. Now let's look at our polynomial. Our polynomial has 3 terms. That means we want to try to factor it into the product of 2 binomials. And since our directions recommend using the AC method, let's use that method. So in step number 2, we need to make sure that our polynomial is in standard form and then figure out what each one of its coefficients are. So, is our polynomial in standard form? Well, we need to look and see if all like terms are combined. If we look, we see that all like terms are combined. Now for the degree drop. We have a degree of 2, then a degree of 1, then a degree of 0. So our degree drops as we move from left to right. That means that our polynomial is in standard form. So let's pick out the coefficients. The coefficient of our first term, which is a, is 8. The coefficient of our second term is b, which is of negative 10. And c is 3. Now for step 3. Step number 3 is the actual beginning of the AC method. For this method, we want to first multiply together a times c. So we take a times c, which is 8 times 3, and we get an answer of 24. Now that we found the product of a and c, let's find all of its factors. So in step number 4, we're going to create a table that has all the factors of 24. Then we're also going to find the sum of those factors. First, let's find the factors of 24. Take 24 divided by 1, then move up one step at a time. So 24 divided by 1 is 24. And we get the factors 1 and 24. Now, move up to 2. Take 24 divided by 2. That's 12. So we have the factors 2 and 12. If we take 3, we have the factors 3 and 8. Then 24 divided by 4 is 4 and 6. Now what about 24 divided by 5? Can we do that and get a whole number? No, we can't. So we skip over 5 and move to 6. Well, 6 is already written down in our factors. So that means that we found all the factors of 24. But have we? What if we were to make a negative on each one of our factors? Those would multiply together and be a positive 24. So each of these factors has to have their negatives along with them. So we need to take negative 1 times negative 24. That equals 24. We need to do this with all of our factors. We have negative 2 and negative 12, negative 3 and negative 8, and negative 4 and negative 6. Now we found all the factors of 24. In our second column, we want to find the sum of all of these factors. So we want to take 1 plus 24, and we get 25. Then 2 plus 12 is 14. Then we have 11, then 10, negative 25, negative 14, negative 11, and negative 10. In our next step, we want to look back at our table and find a sum that's the same as our coefficient for b. Our coefficient of b is equal to negative 10. So do you see a sum in our table that's equal to negative 10? Yes, right here. We have negative 10 when we add together the two factors, negative 4 and negative 6. So in step number 6, we want to take these two factors and replace them as the second term in our trinomial. So let's rewrite our trinomial. We have 8x squared, and then instead of writing minus 10x, we're going to replace that with minus 4 and minus 6. So we have a minus 4x, minus 6x, then plus 3. Now look, we have 4 terms in this polynomial. To factor it, we can factor by grouping. So let's do that. We'll take these 2 terms and factor out a common factor. So we factor out a 4x, and we get 2x minus 1. Then take our second 2 terms and factor out a minus 3. We get 2x minus 1. Now we take our common factors 2x minus 1 and factor those out. We get 2x minus 1 times 4x minus 3. This is our answer. If we factor this trinomial, these are the binomials that we get. But let's double check our answer. So in step number 8, we're going to check our answer by FOILing together these two binomials. When we do, we get 8x squared minus 6x minus 4x plus 3. If we combine our two like terms, we'll get 8x squared minus 10x plus 3. This is our original trinomial, so we know that we did our problem correctly. If we factor this trinomial, we get the two binomials 2x minus 1 times 4x minus 3.